Hey you guys, when someone says 80s TV, what shows automatically pop into your head? Maybe Cheers, Miami Vice, The A-Team? Probably the stuff that everybody swears defined the decade. And sure, those shows were big, but if you actually grew up back then, those aren't the shows that stuck with you. No, it's the weird ones, the half remembered fever dreams that aired when the networks weren't paying attention. I'm talking about shows that vanished from the nostalgia radar unless you were an 80s kid like me, glued to the set, soaking in every second. I lived it, and I've got the mental VHS library to prove it. So here's what we're doing. I'm dragging some of these buried treasures back into the light and breaking down why they hit different if you were there. Just like I've already done 4 times before. P.S. There is a playlist on my channel. So stick around. This is your ticket back to an 80s you didn't know you forgot. My name is Natalie. This is my so-called Gen X life, and here are more TV shows that you don't remember unless you're Gen X. You Can't Do That on Television was a Canadian sketch comedy show that aired from 1979 through 1990, becoming a cornerstone of Nickelodeon's early lineup in the 80s. It was chaotic, irreverent, and proudly low budget. The premise was simple. A rotating cast of preteens and teens acted out skits poking fun at everything: parents, school, TV itself, usually tied together by a loose theme like school dances or divorce. The big hook? Say "I don't know" and a bucket of green slime rains down. Say "water" and you're soaked. It was messy, unpolished, and a total 80s kid magnet, running over 140 episodes across its lifespan, with peak popularity in the mid 80s when Nickelodeon picked it up. The show bounced between settings: a diner with a grouchy cook named Barth, a dungeon where kids face a firing squad, a living room with bickering parents, or a link set where cast members bantered in front of lockers. Skits were short, punchy, and loaded with gross out gags, like Barth serving dog food or kids getting blasted with pies. It broke the fourth wall constantly, mocking its own cheap production values or TV tropes. For 80s kids, it was a rebellious middle finger to the sanitized sitcoms of the era. The story of You Can't Do That on Television started in Ottawa, Canada, with a guy named Roger Price. He was a British comedy writer who had worked on stuff like The Tomorrow People in the UK before moving to Canada in the late 70s. He teamed up with the local station CJOH-TV to create a kids show that flipped the script. No preachy lessons, just chaos. The first episode aired on February 3rd, 1979 as a local one-off, live and unscripted. It was a hit locally, so Price pitched it as a series, blending his love for sketch comedy with a kid-centric twist. Nickelodeon came calling in 1981 after spotting its potential. They had just launched as a kids network and needed edgy content. You Can't Do That on Television fit the bill. Production stayed in Ottawa, keeping costs low, and that slime? It was a mix of oatmeal, green food coloring, and whatever else was lying around. Cheap and effective. Price directed most episodes himself, writing skits that leaned on running gags and letting kids improvise. The budget was so tight, they reused sets like the locker wall and shot fast, sometimes churning out episodes in just one day. By 1982, it was Nickelodeon's flagship show, airing new seasons, like I said, all the way through 1990. The cast was a revolving door of Canadian kids, mostly local Ottawa talent, auditioned for their spunk over polish. Early stars included Christine Moose McLeod, who hosted from 1979 to 1986, was dry-witted, sarcastic, the glue of the show. Lisa Ruddy brought sass and took plenty of slime hits, sticking around into the mid-80s. There was Alistair Gillis, who joined in 1982, a fan favorite with his floppy hair and deadpan delivery. There was also Kevin and Doug, who were early staples. nailing that awkward teen vibe. Later seasons did refresh the roster, and no one was a trained actor. They were just kids being themselves, which made it feel real. Fun fact, a young Alanis Morissette appeared in 5 episodes in 1986, pre-fame mostly as a background player. Can't Do That on Television left a massive mark, especially on Nickelodeon. The slime became their brand. Think Double Dare, the Kids' Choice Awards. It all traced back to that green goop debuting in 1979. The show's DIY spirit shaped Nick's early identity as the anti-establishment kids channel, running over 10 seasons and inspiring spin-offs like Turkey Television. It aired reruns into the 90s and cemented its cult status, but I tell you, 80s kids still flinch at I don't know. Beyond slime, it influenced comedy TV with its fourth wall breaks and kid-led humor. Shows like All That owe it a debt. Price did try a revival in 2004 with You Can't Do That on Television Again, but it flopped without the 80s magic. Today, it's a time capsule. Crude, unscripted, and a little unhinged. For 80s kids, it's the show that let us laugh at the world before we had to join it. You can still find episodes floating online or in Nickelodeon nostalgia blocks, proof that it's not totally forgotten, just perfectly ours.
And pull yourself up a chair. Let the fun begin. It's time to let down your hair. TV's short and tight. Those friends have been invited. The wacky TV's Playhouse.
Pee-wee's Playhouse was a wild, candy-colored fever dream that aired on CBS from September of 1986 through November of 1990 for 5 seasons and 45 episodes. It was all about Pee Wee Herman, a bow-tied man-child in a too-small suit who lived in a zany playhouse where everything talked. Chairs, robots, even the floor. Each 30-minute episode was a whirlwind of chaos. Pee-wee dodging mischief from his pals like Conky the Robot, Cherry the Armchair, or Johnny the Junie, all while chasing some quirky goal, like fixing a toy or hosting a guest. The big gimmick was a secret word. Say it and everyone screams like lunatics. It was loud, weird, and unapologetic Saturday morning TV on a sugar high. The set was a psychedelic explosion. Polka dots, retro toys, a talking window named Mr. Window, and every corner had a character, from Magic Screen bouncing around to Terry the Jittery Pterodactyl. Episodes mixed live action, puppets, and claymation shorts like Penny, a girl with pennies for eyes. For 80s kids, it was a sensory overload you couldn't peel your eyes from. Part cartoon, part live action circus. All Pee-wee. It felt like stepping into a kid's imagination where rules didn't exist, and that's why we loved it. Pee-wee's Playhouse came from Paul Reubens, the guy behind Pee Wee Herman. Reubens started Pee-wee as a stage character in the late 70s with the Groundlings, a comedy troupe in LA. It was a hit, quirky, retro, a little naughty, so he spun it into a 1981 HBO special called The Pee Wee Herman Show. And that caught Hollywood's eye, landing him Pee-wee's Big Adventure with Tim Burton directing in 1985. Off of that success, CBS pitched a kids show, and Reubens jumped in, wanting something wilder than Sesame Street, a mix of 50s TV vibes with punk absurdity. Production kicked off in 1986, first in New York, then moving to LA for later seasons. Reubens co-directed and obsessed over every detail. The Playhouse took months to build, with artists like Wayne White crafting its look from thrift store junk and bright paint. The budget started at $325,000 per episode, which was a huge amount for a kids show, but that was thanks to CBS betting big. They shot episodes fast, cranking out 10 for season 1, which aired in fall of '86. Guest stars like Lawrence Fishburne as Cowboy Curtis and vintage cartoons padded the runtime. Reubens pulled talent from everywhere, puppeteers, animators, even Cyndi Lauper singing the theme, uncredited. After a 1987 writer's strike, seasons shrank. Season 2 was just 3 episodes, but it still ran strong all the way through 1990, when Reubens finally stepped back after 45 episodes. He was burned out, but proud. Reuben's Pee-wee was the heart of the show, with manic energy, a high-pitched voice, and a red bow tie, always teetering on chaos. The Playhouse crew was a who's who of weirdos. Lynn Marie Stewart as Missy Vaughn, the flirty neighbor with beehive hair. And Fishburne, like I said earlier, as Cowboy Curtis, a chill cowboy with a draw. And we can't forget S. Epatha Merkerson as Reba the Mail Lady, delivering sass with the letters. Then John Paragon played Jambi, the genie with a turban and dry wit, wishing for freedom. Guests also popped in regularly. Phil Hartman as Captain Coral, a salty sailor, Natasha Lyonne as a kid in season 1, even Rob Zombie as a crew member before he was famous. Voice actors like Gilbert Gottfried played Mr. Knucklehead and Joan Rivers was a radio DJ. They added spice to the show. The cast was a mix of improv vets and fresh faces, all buying into Reuben's vision. Pee-wee's Playhouse left a big, weird footprint. It won 15 Emmys, proving it wasn't just kid stuff. Airing Saturday mornings at 11:30, it pulled in 10 million viewers at its peak, which was huge for the time slot. Critics called it postmodern for blending retro kitsch with 80s edge. It influenced kids' TV in the future, like SpongeBob and Blue's Clues, that owe its bold visuals and offbeat humor to Pee-wee. The secret word bit became a playground staple, I tell ya. I yelled nice at recess just to hear the shrieks. After Reuben's 1991 scandal, CBS did yank the reruns, but HBO and syndication kept it alive. There was also a 2016 Netflix movie called Pee-wee's Big Holiday, which revived that vibe, and you can find original streams of the show on platforms like Peacock. For 80s kids, this show is a reminder that weird wins and Pee-wee's giggle still echoes if you were there. Square One TV was an American kids show that hit PBS in 1987 and ran through 1992. A total blast of math madness cooked up by the Children's Television Workshop, the same folks who brought us Sesame Street. It was all about tackling the math crisis among school kids, mixing sketches, music videos, and a detective serial called MathNet into a half-hour party. The vibe was 80s sketch comedy with a calculator twist, teaching counting, fractions, geometry, and more. It ran for 230 episodes over 5 seasons, and for us Gen X kids, it was the after-school jam that made numbers feel like a game. The show bounced between wild setups, game shows like But Who's Adding?, where kids crunch digits for prizes, or Backstage with Blackstone, where magician Harry Blackstone Jr. wowed us with math tricks. Music videos were huge. Dropped originals like 8% of My Love, and we'd sing along like it was MTV.
8% of my love, 8% will have to do. I already went and spent 92%, but I'm saving all the rest for you. I already went and spent 92%, but I'm saving all the rest for you.
Skits spoofed everything. Math Court settled number disputes, while Pauline's Perilous Pyramid had a heroine hopping a Kubert-style board, dodging big totals. It was fast, fun, and totally 80s. We lived for that quirky charm. The story of Square One TV started with the Children's Television Workshop aiming to make math cool for kids 8 to 12. Jim Thurman, a comedy writer from Carol Burnett's crew, teamed with CTW vets David Connell and Joel Schneider to launch it. The first episode dropped in January of 1987, and it was shot on a tight budget but bursting with ideas. The cast was a blast. Reg E. Cathy, later of The Wire, was all over sketches, while Larry Cedar and Cynthia Darlow played game hosts and more. Music was a backbone of Square One TV. Over 20 videos cycled through, blending pop with math lessons. But the real hook of Square One was the segment that ended every episode, MathNet.
The story you are about to see is a fib, but it's short. The names are made up, but the problems are real.
It was Wednesday, 4:47 p.m., and already baseball fans were talking about the distinct possibility of the Yankees and the Mets getting set to play a Subway Series next fall. Why anyone would want to play baseball on a subway was beyond me, but New Yorkers are weird. I was working the day watch out of MathNet. My partner is George Frankley. The captain is Joe Greco. My name is Monday. I'm a mathematician.
MathNet starred Joe Howard as George Franklin and Beverly Leach as Kate Monday through season 4, and that's when Tony Dubuano stepped in as Pat Tuesday. It was a dragnet parody, 5-part mysteries every week where George and Kate solved crimes with math, and it kept us glued with weekly cliffhangers. MathNet was the crown jewel of this show. Cases like tracking a thief with geometry or cracking codes with estimation had us hooked. For 80s kids, Square One was a riot. It made us feel smart without trying. And MathNet turned us into detective wannabes, counting down to Friday's big solve. Square One TV left a legacy. 230 episodes of math-fueled fun, with reruns that ran through 1994, plus a noggin stint from 1999 to 2003. It's pure Gen X and Zennial nostalgia. Clips are available online, but we're still chasing a full release. If Mathman or Contact sparks a grin, you're one of us. 80s kids who ruled math.
Hocus Pocus, Alan
Special. It's for everyone.
One of my absolute favorites. Today's Special was a Canadian kids show that aired from 1981 to 1987 with 121 episodes over 6 seasons. It was a magical department store adventure born on TV Ontario and scooped up by Nickelodeon for us 80s kids in the States. It was quirky, sweet, and a little bonkers, set in a store that came alive after hours. The premise? Jody, a display designer, teamed up with Jeff, a mannequin who sprang to life with the magic words Hocus Pocus Alamagocus, and their pals to explore stuff like hats, sleep, or even butterflies. The show danced between different spots: the children's department with its toy chaos, Sam's security desk with his TXL computer, Muffy's 2-story mouse hole, or the rooftop for starry chats. Episodes mixed songs, dances, and gentle lessons. Jeff learning about brooms or Muffy rhyming her way through a fix. It was soft, silly, and totally 80s. Gen X kids loved how it felt like our own secret clubhouse, alive with imagination. The story of today's special starts with Clive Vanderberg, a TV Ontario producer with a vision for magic meets learning, inspired by Toronto's Simpsons department store, where they filmed after hours at the Queen Street West spot. It kicked off in September of 1981, and Vanderberg created and produced, keeping it low budget but big-hearted, using puppets on strings and real escalators as sets. Music flowed from pros like Eric Robertson with guest tunes from Sharon, Lois, and Bram. Shot fast in Toronto, it wrapped in 1987 after 121 episodes, hitting Nickelodeon in 1982 and PBS stations as well. The cast was a lovable crew. Jeff Hyslop played Jeff, the mannequin with a magic hat, dancing and singing like an 80s Broadway star. Noreen Virgin was Jody, the warm display designer who guided the gang from start to finish. Bob Dermer voiced Sam Crenshaw, the gruff security guard puppet with navy tails and cookie love. Nina Kioff brought Muffy Mouse to life, a rhyming rascal with orange hair and a scooter. Today's special was pure magic. It was Nickelodeon's early quirky hit and a PBS fave, nabbing Gemini nods for Best Children's Series. Reruns stretched all the way into 2000 on Treehouse TV, cementing its cult status, but it's 80s kids who still hum that theme song. Today's special helped shape edutainment with its gentle touch. If you're curious or need a shot of nostalgia, you can dig up episodes online, especially on YouTube. It will always be our little store that never closes.
We're ready to play. We're learning the way to do it right. We're the baseball bunch. We're gonna go far. We learn from the stars. We are the baseball bunch. We're having fun while we're learning to run and hit and throw and catch that ball. You can learn too. We're waiting for you. We got a hunch you'll love the baseball bunch.
The Baseball Bunch was an American kids show that swung into syndication from 1981 to 1985, a half-hour blast of baseball fun that aired on Saturday mornings. It was goofy, instructional, and all about the diamond life. Johnny Bench, the Cincinnati Reds legend, coached a team of 8 Little Leaguers, known as the Bunch. through drills and tips, while the San Diego Chicken clucked around causing chaos. A big league guest star dropped in every episode to teach a skill, and it ran 75 episodes over 5 seasons. Pure 80s kid catnip that had us dreaming of the majors. The show bounced between two big chunks. First, Johnny and a pro like Ozzie Smith or Pete Rose demoed a fundamental, like fielding grounders or hitting to the opposite field, while the kids bumbled through it. Then, Tommy Lasorda popped up as the dugout wizard in a turban, dishing more wisdom like catching fly balls with 2 hands, often with a cheesy music video to hammer it home. It was campy, hands-on, and totally Gen X. Saturday mornings with cereal and soaking up baseball vibes. The story of the Baseball Bunch starts with a pilot filmed at Pepperdine University on August 23, 1980, starring Johnny Bench, Tommy Lasorda, and Steve Garvey. The vibe was pretty dry, though, until the San Diego Chicken joined, improvising laughs into the mix. Then they moved filming to Tucson, Arizona in February of 81 to catch spring training stars. Lasorda's bits were shot separately in LA and spliced in. It was low budget, but clever. Music videos jazzed it up, starring players or even musical acts. The cast was a rotating squad of kids ages 8 to 14 who were swapped out as they hit puberty. Guest stars were the juice of this show, though. Reggie Jackson, Cal Ripken Jr., Gary Carter, even Ted Williams stopped by. The Baseball Bunch left a Grand Slam mark with 75 episodes in total, airing in the summer and rerunning year-round on ESPN and WTBS. It was a hit with kids and parents, blending laughs with legit tips like Ozzie's glove work or Reggie's swing. Today, it's a cult classic. Clips float around online, but we still need a DVD box set. For 80s kids, it's the show that made baseball our Saturday obsession. Chicken antics and all. I'm Telling was an American kids game show that aired on NBC from September of 1987 to March of 1988. It was a Saturday morning riot that turned sibling secrets into a prize-grabbing frenzy. It was a newlywed game, but for kids. 3 teams of brothers and sisters spilling the beans on each other, all for a shot at loot like Nintendos and boomboxes. The hook? Well, guess what your sibling would say, rack up points, and hit the pick-a-prize arcade. It ran for just 26 episodes, but for us younger Gen Xers and Zennials, it was a short-lived blast of 80s game show glory. Sibling rivalry dialed up to 11. There was even a board game version of this. So the show rolled out 2 rounds. First, brothers got teleported to the isolation zone, a fancy soundproof room with sparkly effects, while sisters answered questions like, what's his worst habit? Then they flipped it. Girls zoned out and the boys dished. Points climbed from 25 all the way up to 150, and the top team snagged a $1,000 savings bond before dashing to the arcade. There, 20 prizes, 10 for the boys on yellow stands and 10 for the girls on pink stands, lit up with sirens when matches were made. It was loud, it was fast, and it was glorious Gen X chaos, perfect for kids who lived for Saturday morning cartoons. I'm Telling was produced by Saban Productions and DIC Enterprises, the Cartoon Kings behind Inspector Gadget. Laurie Faso, a voice actor from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, he was Raphael, hosted with a grin, and Dean Goss called the action as announcer. The first episode hit in September of 87, filmed in LA with a budget that screamed 80s excess, complete with neon lights and computer graphics. The contestants were 3 sibling pairs per episode, real kids, not actors, like Paul Walker, who popped up pre-Fast and Furious fame as a teen contestant with his sister Ashley. Laurie kept things rolling, breaking up the occasional argument. There was a no socking rule, while the kids brought the fun and the sass. There were tiebreakers like the I'm Telling Fun Box, where you'd have to guess how many jelly beans or whatever, and the closest without going over 1. Despite its brief run, reruns bounced around on the Family Channel and WWOR-TV well into the 90s. It was a 1-season wonder, but that pick-a-prize arcade, pure wish fulfillment. Bikes, toys, trips to Disneyland? Today it's a nostalgia nugget. Clips are online, and fans still remember those sirens. For 80s kids, it's the show that made us wish we could spill secrets and snag loot. Sibling showdowns never looked so good. Video was an American Saturday morning mashup that blasted onto NBC in 1984 and ran through 1985. It mixed live-action rockers with a cartoon wonderland. It was pure 80s insanity. A teen band zapped into a music-fueled dimension called the Flip Side, battling Master Blaster and his gang with breakdance moves and power chords. Like any good 80s show, the premise was explained in the title sequence. Four kids, Kid, Carla, Ash, and Wiz, are practicing in a storage unit when an animated villain named Master Blaster appeared and transported them to his dimension. They were real kids turned into animated heroes, avoiding the villain's plan to make them his musical slaves by rocking out with the help of a fairy named Glitter. Each episode saw them helping to free the denizens of the Flip Side from Master Blaster's rule or trying to find a way back home to the real world. Kid Video ran just 26 episodes across 2 seasons, bouncing to CBS for reruns until 1987. It was a short-lived Gen X gem that had us glued to our Zenith televisions. The show flipped between worlds, the band's real-life garage gigs and the Flip Side's psychedelic sprawl, where they cruised in a tricked-out Subaru Brat. Episodes were MTV on steroids. Action scenes synced to hot tracks like Tears for Fears, plus live-action videos of the band jamming originals at the end. Think skateboards, breakdancing, and a video game episode that screamed 80s cool. For kids in the 80s, it was our ticket to a cartoon rock fantasy. Music videos before we had cable. Just like I'm telling, the story of Kid Video starts with DIC Enterprises and Saban Productions. It was shot in LA, mixed the live-action band scenes with surreal animation inspired by MTV and Roger Dean album art. Creators Shuki Levy and Chaim Saban penned the banger Video to Radio, which still lives rent-free in my head, and every episode leaned hard into pop culture. Music videos were the heart of this show, with the band's own tunes like A Little TLC, Rocking So Hard, they got merch like chocolate bars. The cast was the band. Brian Scott as Kid, the lead singer with new wave swagger, Gabriella Nelson as Carla, the drummer shouting I, Steve Alterman as Ash, the clumsy keyboardist, and Robbie Rist, yes, Cousin Oliver from Brady Bunch, as Wiz, the nerdy bassist with the Brat. Kathy Cavadini voiced Glitter, their fairy sidekick, while Peter Renaday brought the evil Master Blaster to life, a jukebox-flying musical tyrant. His copycats, Cool Kitty, Fat Cat, and She Lion, lip-synced their way through villainy. Real kids, real voices, pure 80s. Kid Video definitely left its mark with the 26 episodes, rerunning into syndication and popping up on Disney after they bought out Saban Productions in 2001. It was MTV for the Saturday morning crowd that spawned a vinyl album in Israel and a mini tour in 1987. Today, it's another cult classic. Episodes are floating around online, but there's no DVD box sets or anything like that. Still, I'm craving that Flip Side fix, so I have to check out those videos on YouTube. You should too. It's pretty great stuff. From my video to my radio.
Picture pages, time to get your picture pages, time to get your crayons and your pencils. Picture pages, open up your picture pages, time to watch Bill Cosby do a picture page with you.
Picture Pages was an American kids show that bounced around from the late 70s through 1984, landing on PBS as a Captain Kangaroo spinoff. It was simple and all about doodling. Bill Cosby, who was known at the time for his work on Fat Albert because this was pre-Cosby Show, led us through workbook pages with a magic marker named Mortimer Ichabod. Kids at home grabbed their own Picture Pages books to draw shapes, match objects, or solve puzzles alongside Bill's goofy lessons. It ran about 130 short segments over a few years, little 5-minute bursts of fun that had us racing for our crayons. The show stuck to just one spot, Bill on a colorful set with a big workbook, chatting us up like a cool uncle. Each bit kicked off with that catchy Picture Pages tune, then dove into tasks, connecting dots for a doghouse, circling matching socks, or tracing a triangle parade. Mortimer's squeaky dee marked the beat, and Bill's chuckles kept it light. For 80s kids, it was a chill, hands-on escape, learning without the classroom, just us and Bill scribbling away. The story of Picture Pages starts actually back in the 1950s in a local show in Pittsburgh that was revived in 1976 when Cosby pitched it to Captain Kangaroo. It aired as inserts on CBS from 1977 to 1980 with over 100 5-minute shorts, and then it jumped to PBS in 1984 with new episodes shot in New York. Milton Bradley sold the workbooks for $2 at Kmart so kids could play along. Bill Cosby carried this show solo with his Dad Vibes and Mortimer Squeaks, which were also voiced by Cosby. There were no big guest stars, but some friends would occasionally show up. Usually, though, it was just Bill riffing with puppets like Susie the Mouse in early versions or clowning with that marker. The 84 reboot did add a little bit more polish with brighter sets, but they still kept it very real. Picture Pages was interactive before that was a buzzword. Those workbooks were our DIY app. Today, it's a quiet classic. Clips pop up online, and Milton Bradley reprints still float around. For 80s kids, it's the show that turned doodling into a Saturday morning ritual. Bill and Mortimer were our ticket to a simpler, scribbly time.
Pinwheel, pinwheel, spinning around. Look through my pinwheel and see what I found. Pinwheel, pinwheel, where have you been? Hello, how are you, and may I come in?
Pinwheel was an American kids show that spun onto Nickelodeon and aired from 1977 to 1984. A puppet-packed wonder that started as a local Ohio experiment before becoming Nick's first big hit. It was mellow and whimsical, set in a boarding house near a pinwheel garden where puppets and humans hung out. A quirky crew chatted, sang, and shared stories, with shorts like Bunny in the Suitcase or Simon in the Land of Chalk Drawings sprinkled in. It ran 260 half-hour episodes, but in the early days, some were stretched out to like 3 hours long. It was a quiet delight for 80s kids curled up with a bowl of tricks. The show bounced around this big old house. There was the parlor where Aurelia strummed her guitar, the kitchen with Luigi's Veggie Opera, or Plus and Minus's attic hideout. Puppets popped off with songs about brushing teeth or counting jelly beans, while shorts brought claymation bugs or French clowns. It was slow-paced and dreamy, perfect for 80s kids who loved a chill vibe over the usual cartoon zap. Every spin of that pinwheel felt like a hug from the TV. The story of Pinwheel starts in Columbus, Ohio, with Dr. Vivian Horner, a Warner Cable exec, who cooked up the pin in 1977 for QUBE, a wild interactive TV test where kids could vote on shorts with a remote. It was way ahead of its time. Puppeteer Marilyn Candy Krugel pitched the house idea, and then director Patricia Wright brought it all to life. Pinwheel debuted on December 1st, 1977, literally 2 days after I was born, with 15-minute segments. Then it blew up when Nickelodeon launched in 1979. The budget was tight, puppets were handmade, and sets were reused, but the charm was huge. Pinwheel left a massive footprint. All of those episodes shaped Nickelodeon's early years, and they aired till 1984 and reran until 1989 on Nick Jr. It was their launch pad, hours of gentle fun before the slime took over. Today it's a hidden gem. Clips are available online, but full episodes are rare, leaving us pining for that pinwheel spin. Mr. Wizard's World was a Nickelodeon gem that aired from 1983 to 1989, bringing science to life for 80s kids, with Don Herbert, the one and only Mr. Wizard. It was a reboot of his 50s hit, Watch Mr. Wizard, but this time it was faster, flashier, and all about everyday stuff, like vinegar volcanoes or straw-powered rockets. Don and a rotating crew of kids used kitchen goodies to unpack gravity, sound, or electricity, making science a blast. It ran 78 half-hour episodes, a Saturday morning must-watch that had us itching to raid the pantry for experiments. The show zipped through cool segments. Don at a workbench with jars and spoons, showing off tricks like bending water with static or crushing cans with air pressure. Bits like incredible feats of real science mixed in wild facts, while kids got hands-on, asking how and giggling through the mess. It was bright and colorful and pure 80s, perfect for kids who'd rather tinker than crack a textbook. We'd sit there mesmerized, plotting our own backyard science stunts. Mr. Wizard's world starts with Don Herbert, who first rocked the science scene with Watch Mr. Wizard back in 1951. Fast forward to 83, and Nickelodeon needed a star, and Don delivered. The show was created by Herbert with producer Bruce Bilson, and Mr. Wizard's World launched on October 3rd, 1983, and filmed in Calgary, Canada on a very lean budget. Household items only, no fancy lab gear. Don wanted science for everyone, so they shot it fast and aired 3 times a week to fill Nick's early lineup. The cast was just Don and the kids, no pros, just real 80s youngsters rotating in to mix it up. Don, with his English and science degree from Wisconsin, learned as he went, with 18 file cabinets of notes stashed off-set. Kids were diverse. There were boys and girls from all backgrounds, asking questions and getting dirty, while Don's warm vibe tied it all together. It was guest-free and simple. It was all about the magic of why. Mr. Wizard's World made waves. 78 episodes that helped Nickelodeon grow from a newbie channel to a kids' TV titan, rerunning all the way through 2000. It nabbed nods from the National Science Foundation, and many scientists still say that Don sparked their careers. Today, it's a sweet throwback. There are clips available online, and there are some DVDs floating around. A spark for 80s kids who turned cereal boxes into lab kits. Without it, there'd be no Bill Nye or Mythbusters. Just Don, making science our playground.
There we go. Oh, hey, not bad. It's Out of Control.
Out of Control was a Nickelodeon sketch comedy show that aired from 84 to 85. It was a wild ride that kicked off Nick's in-house lineup for 80s kids. It was loud and silly and totally unhinged. Dave Coulier running a fake news show where everything went haywire. Dave actually played the straight guy, desperately trying to herd a crew of oddballs through sketches and stunts, all while yelling his soon-to-be famous, "Cut it out." It ran just 26 episodes, but reruns stretched into the 90s. It's a chaotic little nugget that had us laughing through Saturday mornings. The show zipped around a mock studio. Dave was at a desk with cue cards flying, while his team botched everything. Skits like "Hurry Up" sped up boring chores with a goofy machine. "Let's Eat" sent Dave hunting for the world's best grub. And "It's Probably True" dug up weird facts. Animation from Spectre Productions, like spinning reels, tied everything together. And the Duck's Breath Mystery Theater crew popped in with their own wacky bits. It was a mess in the best way. We loved the slapstick and that anything could happen energy. The story of Out of Control begins with Cy Schneider, Nickelodeon's president, who wanted a kids' news parody. Bob Hughes, a comedy vet, turned it into a series, originally calling it The Out of Control Room. It first hit in October of 1984, shot on a shoestring budget in LA, with low-budget sets, one-take vibes, and Dave improvising like a champ. Hughes actually first eyed Bob Saget for this role, but Saget suggested Dave, fresh from his stand-up gigs. The cast was an absolute riot. Dave Coulier, pre-Full House, nailed the host gig with his catchphrase. Diz McNally played Diz Astor, a shrill stage manager with that Valley Girl flair, complete with neon nails and big screams. Jill Wakewood played Angela Scoop Quickly, the ditzy reporter, while Marty Schiff brought sleazy Hearn Burford to life. Dave Centrum's Waldo, the nerdy inventor, rounded everything out, and guests like Bill Bixby, Joel Hodgson, and Dennis Miller dropped by. 26 episodes of Out of Control really launched Dave's TV career and cemented Nickelodeon's early quirky streak. This was their first homegrown show, setting the stage for more 80s hits. Today, it's a lost treasure. Clips are available online, but full episodes are extremely rare. For 80s kids, it's the show that turned TV into a playground, and Dave's "Cut It Out" still echoes in our heads. WonderWorks was a PBS anthology series that ran from October of 1984 through April of 1992, delivering 117 episodes of family-friendly magic over 8 seasons. It kicked off with The House of Dies Dreer on October 24th of 84 and wrapped up with You Must Remember This in 92. Think of this as a treasure chest of standalone stories, some movies, some miniseries, shot on a $30 million budget from the Children's Television Workshop and co-producers like Walt Disney. Aimed at kids but smart enough for adults, it aired mostly on weekend evenings, perfect for Gen Xers winding down from school or Saturday shenanigans. The show jumped from spooky mysteries like The Haunting of Barney Palmer to quirky tales like The Hoboken Chicken Emergency, where a kid adopts a 266-pound chicken and chaos ensues. You had classics too. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe hit in 88, a 6-parter with those gloriously dated costumes. Other gems included Anne of Green Gables with Megan Fellows and Bridge to Terabithia, both tugging heartstrings across 2 nights. I will never, ever forget those. Shot on film with real sets like the Canterville's Ghost Creaky Castle, it felt big and not cheap at all. Directors like Arthur Allen Seidelman and writers like Cynthia Whitcomb kept it sharp, mixing news stories with literary adaptations. So why did Gen X kids eat this up? It was a break from the usual Saturday cartoons, an event that felt special, like a mini movie night at home. The stories weren't dumbed down, they trusted us to handle big feelings like grief in Terabithia and courage in the Chronicles of Narnia. WonderWorks was PBS doing what it did best, sneaking education into entertainment. For kids stuck without basic cable and only had rabbit ears, WonderWorks was a window to wild imagination. No blockbuster ticket needed. Parents loved it too. It was clean fun with a brain. The show's legacy? Well, it snagged 3 Primetime Emmys and a Peabody, proving it wasn't just kid stuff. It had chops. It paved the way for smart anthologies and family dramas, echoing into shows like The Magic School Bus. Streaming-wise, this one's a bit tricky. PBS only holds rights for 3 years post-air, so rights reverted to the producers. You won't find a full set on Max or Netflix, but hunt online and you'll find that YouTube has plenty of clips and some episodes. And Anne of Green Gables is available on DVD. For 80s kids, this is a memory of when TV dared us to dream big, one weekend at a time.
Journey to the land of Narnia. A mysterious land ruled by the White Witch, who has decreed that it always be winter, but never Christmas.
Where did you get all these things? Father Christmas.
But when 4 children enter Narnia through a magic wardrobe, they find themselves fulfilling an ancient prophecy.
When 2 sons of Adam and 2 daughters of Eve sit in those 4 thrones, then it will be the end, not only of the White Witch's reign, but of her life.
To defeat the witch, they must undertake a dangerous journey to find the true ruler of Narnia. C.S. Lewis's classic tale, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, on WonderWorks.
Tall Tales and Legends aired from September of 85 through December of 1987. A neat little anthology that gave us 9 episodes of American folklore fun. Created by Shelley Duvall for Showtime after her success with Fairy Tale Theater, which I talked about in the first video of this series, Tall Tales and Legends popped up on the Disney Channel as well, wrapping up with Davy Crockett in 1987. Shelley hosted each episode, introducing tales like Pico Spill and Johnny Appleseed with a wink. Backed by a $7 million budget from her and producer Fred Fuchs, it was a quick romp through larger-than-life stories, shot on video with a cozy stage play feel. The show jumped from one yarn to the next. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow had Ed Begley Jr. as jittery Ichabod Crane dodging the Headless Horseman, while Steve Guttenberg's Pico Spill tamed Texas with Rebecca De Mornay as Slewfoot Sue. Martin Short's Johnny Appleseed planted orchards with Molly Ringwald, and Danny Glover's John Henry hammered steel like a legend. Darling Clementine starred Shelley herself with Ed Asner, and Annie Oakley brought Jamie Lee Curtis into the Wild West. Directors like Howard Storm kept it quirky, with painted backdrops and big costumes, giving it a storybook charm. So why did 80s kids tune in? Well, this show was like a campfire tale on screen with familiar stories from schoolbooks, but with stars that we knew from movies, making it feel special. After a day of Atari and bike rides, settling in for Tall Tales was a treat. It didn't talk down to us. Instead, it blended humor and heart in a way that stuck. Parents didn't mind it either. It was a wholesome show but never boring. A rare cable perk before everyone had 100 channels. The legacy of this show is solid. It nabbed a Primetime Emmy nod and a Cable Ace win, showing that it punched above its weight. It kept Shelley's anthology streak alive, paving the way for later kid-friendly spins like bedtime stories. Finding it now, well, it's not easy. Showtime's rights did lapse, but Coke Entertainment dropped a full DVD set in 2005, and it's still floating around. YouTube does have snippets, and you can find episodes. Pico's Bill or Sleepy Hollow will pop up if you dig. For 80s kids, this is a memory of when TV spun Tall Tales with a grin just for us. Videopolis danced onto the Disney Channel in July of 1987 and ran through August of 1989, spinning out around 50 episodes of pure music video fun over 2 seasons. It was a mix of live performances and kids dancing to top 40 hits, running about 30 minutes an episode. Shot live at Disneyland's Videopolis stage, yep, that teen dance spot from 85, it aired Sunday nights through 88, then shifted to Fridays in 89. Hosted by names like Scott Winger and Tiffany Hale, it was Disney's answer to MTV, minus the edge, wrapping up just as the 90s loomed. The show bounced between segments, live acts from stars like Debbie Gibson, New Kids on the Block, and Janet Jackson, plus dance contests and line dance lessons where kids in neon tees shuffled along. You'd catch Tiffany rocking I Think We're Alone Now, or Menudo hyping the crowd, all filmed under Disneyland's open sky with that big 5,000 square foot dance floor. A monthly spin-off, Videopolis Star Treks, ran from 87 to 90, stretching the party to an hour. It was bright and bouncy and taped the live audience. Raw 80s energy on a budget that leaned on the park's existing setup. 80s kids tuned in because it was our mini concert fix, no ticket needed, just a TV and a Sunday night. After a week of school, Videopolis brought the mall music scene home, with stars we'd blast on our boomboxes. The dance-along bits felt like a party we could join, and for kids with basic cable, it was a taste of big-time fun. Disney's safe spin on MTV's cool factor, and parents didn't blink. It was clean, catchy, and kept us parked in the living room. Legacy-wise, Videopolis paved the way for Disney's music shows like the new Mickey Mouse Club, which had Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, J.C. Chasez, Ryan Gosling, Kerry Russell, and it bridged that 80s pop craze to the 90s teen boom. Finding it now? Well, tough luck. It's not on Disney+. The Disney Channel vault is locked tight, but YouTube does have some scraps. There are fan uploads of Tiffany or NKO TV sets if you hunt. For 80s kids, this is a snapshot of when music and mouse ears mixed. A Sunday night rewind worth digging for.
Wake up in the morning feeling shy and lonely. I gotta go to school.
Degrassi Junior High landed on CBC in January of 1987, running 3 seasons and 42 episodes until February of 1989. Then it hit PBS in the United States that September. And because of PBS's lack of commercials, the American version featured more scenes than the original Canadian version. Created by Linda Schuyler and Kit Hood, this Canadian teen drama followed kids at a fictional Toronto school that was shot on location at Vincent Massey Junior School in Etobicoke. I think that's how you say it, Etobicoke? That's a tough one. Anyway, it wrapped with a bang, a school fire at the grad dance, which set up Degrassi High next. The show tracked grades 7 through 9. Season 1 split between 7th and 8th graders, and Season 2 stuck with them mid-year. Then Season 3 bumped everyone up, with 9th graders splitting science classes at Borden High. The show tracked grades 7 through 9. You had Joey, the fedora-wearing class clown, Spike, who was facing teen pregnancy, and Caitlin, who was dreaming big. Shot with non-pro actors in their own clothes, well, mostly thrift store finds. It tackled drugs, divorce, even abuse, all on a scrappy budget that kept things very real. After school, we'd catch Joey's antics or Spike's struggles, and it didn't feel like a lecture. It was bold. Pregnancy plots and punk rockers hit harder than the usual after-school fluff. For kids with just a few channels, this was a gritty escape that mirrored our own junior high chaos, and parents didn't mind the honesty. The legacy of Degrassi Junior High is huge. It snagged an international Emmy for its late and 8 Geminis, cementing its rep as a teen drama trailblazer. It birthed Degrassi High, like I said earlier, which we will talk about in a minute. Then came The Next Generation, and it also influenced shows like 90210. Today, you can grab the full DVD set from 2005, it is out there, or stream seasons on Amazon Prime Video. For Gen Xers, this is a time capsule of when TV got junior high right. Flaws and all.
You must believe, give it a try. Degrassi High.
Degrassi High picked up where Junior High left off, airing on CBC from November of '89 through February of 1991 across 2 seasons and 28 episodes. Then it hit PBS in the United States in January of 1990. Linda Schuyler and Kit Hood kept the torch burning, moving the gang, now 9th and 10th graders, to a new school after the junior high fire. Shot at Toronto's Centennial College on a tight budget, it ran through 2 school years, ending with the TV movie School's Out in '92. The show followed the crew into tougher turf. Joey flunked grade 9, Wheels spiraled after his parents' death, and Caitlin juggled love and activism. Spike raised Emma as a teen mom, while Snake faced tragedy. Shot with the same actors, real teens in real thrift store gear, it hit hard. There was a suicide in the episode Showtime, and others featured abortion debates and drunk driving. Season 2 wrapped at a dance, but School's Out blew it all up with fights and farewells. So why did Gen X kids keep watching? Well, after dodging locker drama all day, we'd tune in to see Joey crash or Wheels unravel, and it felt like our lives, just with Canadian accents. It didn't sugarcoat, suicides and breakups stung, but that's why it stuck. For kids with rabbit ears or basic cable, it was a weekly ritual that got the stakes of growing up. No fluff attached. Degrassi High's legacy is just as strong as the junior high version. It nabbed 5 Gemini Awards, including Best Series, and set the stage for Degrassi: The Next Generation. Critics like the LA Times called it shockingly frank, a benchmark for teen TV that My So-Called Life echoed later. If you want to find it now, well, the 2007 DVD set is your best bet, as it covers both seasons and the movie, or you can stream it on Amazon Prime Video as of the making of this video. And there you have it. More TV shows that you don't remember unless you're Gen X. I'd love to hear your memories of these shows in the comments, and if I messed up pronunciation of names, which I'm sure I butchered at least one, please call me out. And remember, there are 4 more videos in this series that you can find in a playlist on my channel. Okay, bye!